Welcome back to Recoup. Today is Monday, September 29th, 2025. I'm Sweets. This is Sid. This is our Monday check-in where we talk about what we're going to be shipping this week. I'll kick it off on my side. I am focused on evals to get started in order for us to do catalog queries so that for record labels that have thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of songs in their catalog, they can run queries to help organize opportunities based off of their catalog. First place I'm going to be starting in today is adding in a couple more evals. So as we talked about last week, we've already got these evals. I came in and checked out this morning. The first one, as we already know, is all over the place. That trend has continued. The other ones, which were stable, I was hoping that they were stable, and coming into today, stable. Other one, stable. So all of our evals are performing as we expect. What I'm going to be doing today is I'm going to be wrapping our evals in the AI SDK wrapper so that way we can more accurately track the flow of tool calls and errors going through the AI SDK. I'm going to Sid has given me some example prompts to set up the evals for catalog tracking. So I'll be writing those evals. And then we're also talking about shifting perplexity from our current models to the new models. And so what I would like to do is write a couple evals around our web search tools. That way, when we go into this migration, we can see, is it still at least performing at the same level? And if anything, is it improving the quality of the results? So I'll write out some evals for that. Goal is on Monday, get our baseline in place. So that way, for Friday, by Friday, the night when I return, the other changes I'll be making throughout this week are going to improve those numbers. So that's what I'll be focusing on. Oh yeah, Veerball is focused on files. I think you're more clear on the things that Veerball is going to be doing. I saw that big list. I read through it and it looks good. So I'll pass it over to you to talk about what you're working on this week and if you want to highlight any more of what Veerball is working on.
Yeah, I'll highlight Veerball real quick. I'm working on file management so that we can be more effective when it comes to reporting with changes over time. And using the AI to make changes to those files. So human file changing and updates and AI file changing and updates. I think that's the one blocker right now that's stopping us from a lot of the tracking. One of the questions that I did have for you around that is what evals should we write for that in order to test to see if the files that we are creating are being changed and tracked and managed and correctly. So that's something else that I think we should need to think through. I love starting at evals and real user queries. Incredible. A question that I had for you, it's just more of an open-ended question. There's no right or wrong. Or you can tell me what's the right or wrong. But, well, actually, it's a two-part question. One is there anything that can be done today to improve the results of the evals that were set up last week?
Say that question again. What changes can we make to improve the accuracy of the evals that were set up last week?
Correct. Is there anything that can be done today? Because I know you're leaving tomorrow. So is there any low-hanging fruit that we learned stuff last week? Is there any low-hanging fruit we can do today to try to improve them? Any hypotheses that we can run before you leave?
I think the AI SDK wrapper is the single most important one because that gives us greater resolution on the evals. Other than that, I think the current evals are a good start. And I think other than the AI SDK wrapper, the next best thing we can do is add more evals to have a more complete picture of the current baseline that Recoup is performing on. So that way we can better monitor when changes happen where there's a degradation in performance or an improvement in performance.
Understood. More specific question. There is one eval that was not performing. It was performing more randomly. It was expected to perform randomly. We were used to that. But is there any one single change that we can make to increase the performance of that specific eval?
You're talking about this first week album sales one?
Correct. Is it tool description? Is it the search API? Like what is the most likely reason for this not delivering the results correctly?
The biggest reason is sometimes it says I can't do that, and so my gut is saying update the system prompt to say use, if you have a doubt or if you're about to reply that you don't know, call one of these tools, and or maybe just starting with this one tool, call web search. If you're about to say you don't know, call web search. And I think that is going to drastically increase the results or the stability of this eval. What are your thoughts on that suggestion?
I agree. Starting either with the system prompt, but my second thing was like, is our tool descriptions well enough? Starting with the system prompt and then thinking about tool descriptions, are we telling it in the tool description when it should use that, like, as well? Should we also double up and say, use this web search before you answer, I'm not sure?
That's a great suggestion. The goal is to not modify the system prompt. I want our system prompt to be as static as possible unless there's a real reason to do it. And this is like specific eval. If possible, I'm going to start with the web search tool and update that description to say, if you're about to reply, you don't know, call this tool. And I'll see if that fixes it, because if that fixes it, that pushes these changes to the edge into the tools instead of into the core of the product, which is the system prompt. That's a great idea. So I'll do tool description first.
Yeah. And I think thinking through that, then it becomes a question of, I agree. I agree. Is our tool descriptions good enough for the AI to know when to call them?
Right.
Cool. And then the other question that I had, well, I guess my question is that something you want to do, or just something I should do? Is that something that Verbal should do, or can you knock that out today?
I'm focused. The rest of my day is focused on Recoup, so I'll get that done today.
Okay, cool. The second question that I had is,
I'm sharing.
The second question I had is there, because you are leaving for a couple of days, and so you'll have some time to percolate on a plane or just, in general, most important question stuff. Is there a better use of your time than writing the evals for the catalog stuff until you get back? Is my question. Because since you're not going to be able to do anything with those evals until you get back, we're not going to run those evals. I guess we can run those evals.
They get auto run anytime Veerball ships a change, whether or not it's related. So putting the evals in place gives us a baseline so that when I come back, we've got a ton of data to measure my changes.
Understood. The question about the eval in that situation is, will the evals be running? What are the evals running on? Do we have to supply it with the knowledge base of that specific catalog?
Great question. It's a great question. Take us into the code base. I know we're running up on time, so.
Do you have a 2 o'clock or you have time?
Yeah, I've got Couprex in. We go to eval. Okay, so I've got the shared call chat functions. This is what is calling chat with whatever our test input is for each of them evals. So right now I pass in a mock room ID from my own account and then my account ID. And so right now I'm hard coding it to me. We likely want to set up a test account that is running against this. And that test account, we can put in for Veerball the files that it wants to manage, the catalog that we want.
Is this per eval or all evals? Like we can set up.
All evals are currently sharing the same thing. If we want it to be more diverse, in addition to input, we could pass in the body object or a room ID or an artist ID if we want it to vary across tests. But so far, it's the same user and room across all tests.
So I think that's more important. Never mind. I don't care. I sent you on Slack the artist that contains my conversation with that I've been running the evals manually on. with the knowledge base attached. So you have that artist and that information so if you want to create a separate file to run evals with that, you can. If you want to set it up so Verbal can test his evals as well, you can, however you want, but you have it, it's in Slack.
Thank you for that. That's super helpful.
The last question I had is from what I know, scheduled actions are currently using a specific model that is hard-coded, correct?
Correct. It's using our default GPT-5 mini.
If yes, can I create a ticket for Verbal to update it to use the model that the user selects on creation? Or is that something that you would prefer Verbal not messing with because he's not familiar with that code base or the worker agent code base?
I would love for Verbal to tackle it.
I don't want to break anything.
It's going to require a change to the worker code base, which I don't know if Verbal has touched. The worker is what sends the API request, which includes the model to use to the backend. A preliminary change that will need to get made is we need to add a column to the database for the tasks to add in the model. That way, each task has a model. And so what Verbal could do, update Supabase to add the row or the column into the table, update the UI so that way when you're editing a model, you have the drop down to be able to select whatever model you want. And then if he's able to do those things, then go into the worker and read that model and pass it into the request so that it's using the model that you're saying. I think that's a great idea, especially for things like image generation, to use Nano Banana and content. They don't want to use the same model. So I think that's a great use of his time.
Can you write that ticket?
Yeah, I'll start to write it now.
Because I know he has the 2 other tickets that I did. And so you giving him the priority of level of this versus the other ones. But I think it will, because a lot of the things that we're implementing is going to have to do with creating scheduled actions anyways.
Mm-hmm.
We want to give the scheduled actions the best chance of success.
Supabase chat UI. We then need so chat UI tool. Chat tools. Tool for scheduled actions needs new model prompt. Optional with default of GPT-5 mini. Chat UI then needs edit task pop-up, needs a drop down for model, dry code, use existing model drop down component. And then inside of the task worker code base, we need read from Supabase to include the model in /API/chat API request. And then the only other thing that I'm missing is to get the code base for him. He might need you to give him access. So
yeah, tell him to ping environment variables or anything.
If you need env variables /repo access, ping at Sydney.
And
go ahead.
I would also set the scheduled action default chat model as whatever the user has selected when they create the scheduled action.
Read from Supabase to include the model repo. If you need env variables, chat UI, chat tool, optional with default of the model they have selected.
Correct.
That's in our shared chat, so he can see it. Anything else before I bounce?
No, man. Have a good trip, man.
Thank you all for tuning in. This Wednesday, we will not have our meeting, so we'll be back on Friday for a full reflection. Thank you.